In my high school class, the boys decided to hold a vote, not for class president or anything meaningful, but for the ugliest girl. When the notebook finally reached me, I wasn't surprised to see my name at the top. Out of 21 boys, 17 had written mine. I knew I wasn't conventionally pretty. Single eyelids, thick lips, dark skin, an outdated hairstyle, and acne on my forehead. I never expected much attention, let alone love, especially not from Simon. Simon was someone I'd secretly loved for 6 years. To me, he was like the sun, bright, intelligent, and untouchable. So when I saw his handwriting among the votes, it hurt more than I could explain. My confession to him had only happened the day before, and now this. It felt like he was mocking me, tearing apart whatever dignity I had left. The truth was, my confession hadn't even been planned. I was helping out at my family's fruit stand when Simon walked by. I handed him a bag of fruit, saying it was bought by his mother. Under the streetlight, he looked at me with those long lashes and said, "Selena, I don't need your pity." He dropped the bag and I scrambled to pick up the scattered apples and pears. In that moment I blurted out, "I'm not pitying you, I like you. That's why I wanted to be nice to you." I tried to sound casual, even joking about how one more gift wouldn't make a difference since so many girls gave him things. But he didn't respond right away. After what felt like forever, he simply said, "Sorry, I don't like you," and walked away without looking back. It shouldn't have shocked me, but it did. Still, I told myself there was no reason to be sad. I picked up the last apple, brushed off the dirt, and went back to calling out to customers. My family lived in one of the last old apartment blocks in the city, run down, noisy, and crowded. Everyone around me wore their exhaustion on their faces. Simon was different. His family had fallen on hard times too, and they were staying in our neighborhood temporarily. Before my confession, he had always protected my dignity, especially since my mother worked as a maid in his house. I thought my feelings might help preserve his pride, not ruin it. But after I told him, everything changed. That night in the study hall, I saw his handwriting again in the ugly girl voting book. Stung more than I expected. I turned to look at him, and he stared back blankly, like the warmth he once had vanished completely. The class watched me closely, waiting to see if I'd cry or run out in shame. But I wasn't going to give them that satisfaction. Instead, I took my pen, wrote my own name on the page and held it up. "I'll vote for myself too. If you're going to be mocked, you might as well do it first, and do it loud." After class, some of the boys came over to apologize, claiming it was all a joke, even saying I'd look better if my acne cleared up. I smiled and told them it didn't matter what they thought. As for Simon, I told myself I didn't care anymore either. Later that evening, I stopped him in the alley outside school and said what I needed to say. "Simon, I once borrowed Jane Eyre from your library. There's a line I want to give back to you. Do you think because I am poor, obscure, plain, and little, I am soulless and heartless? In your eyes, maybe the ugly don't deserve to feel pain or sadness. But here's the thing, you're not bad people. You cry over kindness online. You rage against injustice in the news. Yet you still find ways to laugh at your own classmates without realizing the damage you cause. You think these silly games during evening study are harmless fun. But they aren't. I used to think you were different. But now I see, you're just like everyone else." I paused, then added softly, "So Simon, I take back my confession. The Simon I loved, pure as mountain snow, bright as the moon among clouds, doesn't exist anymore. The Simon standing in front of me today is ordinary, nothing special. And whether I'm beautiful or ugly, this version of you isn't worth my affection." For a brief second, something flickered in his eyes, something I couldn't quite read. But I no longer cared enough to figure it out. Not long after, I changed seats. I moved next to Eric, the most unruly student in school. He was the only boy who hadn't voted in the stupid poll. He was also someone Simon deliberately avoided, though I didn't know why at the time. Eric was strange. On my first day sitting next to him, he was asleep at his desk. When he woke up and saw me, he muttered, "Not chasing after Simon anymore?" I snapped back. I was never chasing him. He snorted, clearly unimpressed. He had found my sketchbook once and flipped through it. When he returned it, he simply said, "No taste." Days later, on Valentine's Day, the popular girls received chocolates. Even Simon's desk drawer was full. Eric suddenly barged into class with an expensive-looking box and said no one at home liked them, so they were mine. I pushed them back, saying I was watching my sugar intake. He kicked his chair back, threw the chocolates into the trash bin, and stormed out without another word. Then Simon showed up unexpectedly, placing a box of chocolates on my desk. "These are sugar-free," he said quietly. The whole class buzzed with excitement. My friend Camila passed me a note. "Damn, not a peep before, but a double hit now. One school hunk, 2 hits. Selena, what's really going on?" But honestly, I didn't have an answer. I wouldn't flatter myself to think that Eric or Simon liked me. Whether it was Eric or Simon, they were never from my world. Besides, I was still universally acknowledged as the class ugly duckling. Simon acted this way because his mother noticed something was off between us. Once, I overheard Simon's mom telling him, "Selena is a good girl. Even if you don't like her, you should handle it more gently." As for Eric, I don't know. His actions have always been unpredictable. His strange behaviors even started to affect my studies. For example, he would play with strands of my hair during class, doodle my name on scratch papers, and race his motorcycle against my bus after school. His moods were fickle. When happy, he'd casually throw a few original books my way, share good songs, and bring me all sorts of little trinkets I'd never seen before. When unhappy, he'd block the hallway during breaks so I couldn't get out, or trap me in the equipment room for an entire gym class. I once asked him directly, "Eric, are you pulling these childish pranks because you like me?" He burst into laughter, his face turning red. "Like or dislike? What childish nonsense. I just find it amusing to tease you when you're down on your luck." Despite his constant teasing, I didn't dislike him at all. On the night of the class vote, he stood up, snatched the book, and after reading it, tore it to shreds in a rage. Then he pointed at all the boys and burst out, "Do you even have any taste in critiquing others? Is this something a normal person would do? Being in the same class as you is a huge disgrace. And let me tell you, she is not ugly. You are the ugly ones." That night he was a hero to me. A hero I never expected to appear. Chapter 5. Eric is a fascinating figure at school. He skips classes whenever he feels like it, comes and goes as he pleases, and no one seems able to control him. Annoyingly enough, he still ranks at the top of the class. My initial impression of him was that he loved to have fun. The first time I encountered him outside school, he and his friends were playing with water guns at a music festival, accidentally drenching me as I passed by. That day, he gave me a ride on his motorcycle around the ring road, claiming it would dry me off faster. Later, we were grouped together for a small social survey project. Every time we had a group call, he was in a different place, sometimes domestically, sometimes internationally. This first impression made me think he was always out playing when not at school. So I was shocked to see him on the sports channel so much that I forgot to eat. On TV, he was holding an air rifle with steady arms. His demeanor focused and serene, a stark contrast to his usual self. I held my breath as he aimed at the target and pulled the trigger. Just then Simon, who was eating at my house, suddenly stood up and said to my mom, "Auntie, my dad is being discharged from the hospital tonight, and we haven't set up some things at home yet. Could Selena help me out?" Simon lied, there was no need for my help. As soon as I entered the house, he locked the door behind him, trapping me in his room. "Selena, you saw Eric shining so brightly. Do you like him now because of that? Do you know how bad it sounded when you two were locked alone in the equipment room during gym class? How ugly the rumors about you and Eric became. Are you even from the same world as him? Do you know what his family background is, that you dare get so close to him? He doesn't even need to take the college entrance exams. He's going abroad after graduation. After your foolish fling, he'll still be his princely self. But what about you? Have you thought about how tarnished your reputation could become? Just then my phone lit up with a voice message from Eric. Hey deskmate, did you see my awesome performance? Handsome or what? I'm outside your house. Come out, let's go get some skewers. The old building had poor sound insulation, and his voice was loud. We heard everything clearly inside. Before I could react, I heard my mother's voice. You're Selena's classmate, right? She's helping out at Simon's place across the door. After a moment of silence, I heard Eric say coldly, Is that so? Then I'll head back first. The alley returned to quiet, but my phone beeped again. Eric, come out. I'm at the end of the alley. Simon moved closer to me, close enough that I had to stand against the wall. He lowered his head and almost pleaded in my ear. Selena, don't go, okay? Chapter 6. When I reached the alley entrance, Eric was leaning against his motorcycle, holding his helmet. Seeing me, he coldly said, Get on. That day he drove very fast. He sped for dozens of kilometers to the seaside before stopping. Once he stopped, he immediately dragged me toward the beach. He pulled me so hard it hurt, and my attempts to break free were unsuccessful. Eric, what are you doing? He only stopped when we reached the seaside, then turned and looked down at me condescendingly. Did he just kiss you? I trembled inside. Don't talk nonsense. Simon had indeed been very close to me, but kiss me? How could that be? Eric reached out and lightly touched the corner of my lips. I turned my head away to avoid his fingers. Eric, why are you always so inexplicable? Just like last time during the first aid training in gym class, I was grouped with Simon, and you just locked me in the equipment room. Every time I talk a bit more with Simon, you get angry. I asked him the same question again. Do you like me? Eric's calloused fingertips gently traced my lips. Kiss me, and I'll tell you. Under the moonlight, his eyebrows were like stars, his eyes deep as pools. Perhaps it was the beautiful moonlight, perhaps the gentle sea breeze, perhaps his enchanting voice, or maybe something else, but a string in my heart trembled. I gently grabbed his shirt, stood on my toes, and moved towards his slightly parted lips, awkwardly closing the gap. The moment our lips touched, he tensed, his arms instantly wrapping around me, one hand pulling me close by my waist, the other gripping the back of my head, kissing and biting my lips with frenzy. I don't know how much time passed before he finally let me go. That day we returned very late, our hair and clothes carrying the scent of the sea. When Eric dropped me off at the alley, Simon was under a street lamp. It was the day Simon's dad was discharged from the hospital. Next to a taxi, Simon and his mom were helping him into a wheelchair. Simon glanced at us, his expression somewhat shattered. Following Simon's gaze, his father saw Eric, suddenly became agitated, and rolled out of the wheelchair to crawl and kneel before him, touching his shoes with a hoarse voice. Sir, beg you, please help our corporation. Simon desperately tried to pull his dad up. Dad, don't beg him, it's useless. Eric coldly withdrew his foot, told me, sleep early, see you tomorrow, and then mounted his motorcycle and roared away. Chapter 7. Late at night, I sat in front of the mirror looking at my reflection. Single eyelids, thick lips, dark skin. Though my acne had cleared up quite a bit, still, far from beautiful. I remembered that music festival, the men and women around Eric, all of them good-looking and stylish, each girl prettier than me. That day, wearing a volunteer's white t-shirt soaked by water guns, my clothes became see-through. Eric gave me his jacket to wrap around myself and suggested taking me for a ride to dry off. In the eyes of those girls, I saw jealousy, mockery, and disdain. One girl said, Eric, just give her my jacket, no need for such a fuss. Another guy joked, Eric's taken a quirky turn in his taste for women. From a worldly perspective, I'm far from a match for Eric, whether in looks, family background, or personal achievements. Seeing Simon's dad humbly kneeling and begging him, and Eric not even bothering with a courteous reply, I was jolted by the realization of how distant his world was from mine, far beyond my imagination. I remembered Simon's words. After your silly fling, he'll turn back into his princely self. But what about you? Eric and I are not from the same world. He was born in Rome, able to live as he pleases, carefree. But me? Other than struggling through the massive competition of the college entrance exams, I have no other path. So the next day when Eric came to take me out again, I refused. I said, the college entrance exams are coming up. I don't have time to go out. He paused, then said, then let's go study. Me, study. He took me to his home, a place at the foot of a mountain with a guardhouse. From the guard to the hillside villa, passing a lake, woods, and a vast lawn. Once, Simon's dad took Simon and me hiking and pointed out this place to us. He said, people living there can change others' lives with just a few words. Now here I was, standing in this opulent setting, feeling utterly out of place. Eric took my hand and, without further ado, pulled me into his world. He spoke to the middle-aged man who came to greet us at the door. Uncle, have the teacher come over and give my girlfriend some extra tutoring in physics. That's the only subject she's a bit weak in. That day, I attended a physics class in a state of extreme shock, confusion, and apprehension. Throughout, he propped his chin on his hands, watching me with amusement. From time to time, he'd pour me a glass of water or bring over a fruit plate. Eventually, he cornered me in the chair, his breath warm against my ear. Have you studied enough today? If so, shall we do something else? I pushed him away, my face burning. Your parents will be back soon, right? I should go. He gently bit my earlobe. They're abroad right now. I immediately jumped up. That meant I needed to leave even more urgently. He wasn't annoyed though. He just pecked my lips lightly, called me heartless, and then took his helmet to escort me back to Fumine Lane. After he left, I stood at the dilapidated entrance of the alley, looking back toward his house, realizing for the first time the vast disparity in which we lived. From that day on, I tried to keep my distance. Eric didn't push. He just watched me with that same unreadable expression. Half amusement, half something deeper I couldn't name. We finished school. The college entrance exams came and went. Simon moved away with his family. His father's business in ruins. I never heard from him again. Eric got what he always had, freedom. He didn't need exams, didn't need applications. A private jet waited for him at the end of graduation. But instead of boarding it, he showed up at my doorstep one last time. He leaned against his motorcycle like he always did, but this time there was no smirk. Come with me, he said. I looked at my mother inside, watching us from the kitchen. Looked at the alley we'd walked through so many times. At the cracked pavement, the flickering streetlight, the memories woven into every shadow. I can't, I said. He nodded like he already knew. Then he handed me a small box. Inside was a silver pendant shaped like a key. It's for the gate at the foot of the mountain, he said. If you ever change your mind. Then he left. No dramatics. Just turned the key in the ignition and disappeared down the road. I went to university. Got into physics, of all things. Funny how life works. Years later, I visited that same seaside town for a conference. I walked along the beach where everything had changed. And there, carved into a wooden bench near the shore, were two names, mine and his. Smiled. Sat down. Listened to the waves. And somewhere far away, maybe in another country, Eric looked out at the same sea, and smiled too. Because some stories don't end with a goodbye. They end with a pause.